Martyr. E-martyr. No, it doesn't work. I was like, emo martyr? Whatever. It's fine. We'll work on it, Timothy. Just give me a look.
I know.
You got words? You say that.
I didn't mean to give you a look. I was just chuckling.
Mm-hmm. Well, watch who you chuckle to. Hey y'all, I'm AJ Reyes.
And I'm Timothy Dailey-Valdes. This is Can I Bother You? Welcome to the final installment of our much beloved series within a series, Can I Date You? Where AJ and I discuss dating and love and romance and hookups and sex. And I did not like the way I said that word, but moving on. But yeah, it's our episode where we talk about matters of the heart, matters of the boudoir, matters of love and lust. I feel like I'm just rambling at this point.
I mean, that's what happens every time you introduce an episode. So, like, you are right on track, Timothy. Like, your to-do list is going as planned. Be proud! I just kind of backhanded complimented you. I don't know what's wrong.
You know what I'm definitely not proud of? My love life.
Ah. Wait, before we get too far into it, we should do a content warning. Very frank discussions of sex and possibly sexual assault, depending on what I tell you about my stories. So, just everyone, be aware.
Just be aware.
And take care of yourself.
Yes.
Because I'm not going to take care of you. If we're like trapped in a room together and we need to find a way out, I will take care of you. But like, here when I can't even see you, I can't possibly take care of you. I'm going to keep rambling until Timothy feels better.
But we're going to take care of your needs tonight.
Oh, God.
Your podcast listening needs.
Oh,
your
God.
entertainment needs. Hopefully. You know, no guarantees.
Anyway, welcome to the final episode.
Yeah. Of Can I Date You?
Of Can I Date You, yes, not of the series. The Can I Bother You in its current form will end in the not distant future because Timothy is leaving us all. But Can I Date You is ending. Can I Date You is ending tonight. I posted a survey, so thank you to everyone who participated because I really needed help narrowing it down because seriously I could not decide. I do just want to throw out a couple things about it because I found the numbers. Okay, y'all, I'm a numbers person. I am. I'm not super into math or anything, but I love analytics and things like that. So I really enjoyed going over the numbers of who voted for what. And so out of the 6 options that I gave you all, there was one of them that only one person voted for. And I was shook. Quite a few of you took this survey, and only one person voted for this one thing, and I'm like, I should tell that one to spite everyone.
Do we want to reveal the results with do we want to build it up?
Oh, okay. How do you mean?
Well, I mean, just like a and the winners are, maybe a drum roll. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down for it. I couldn't decide. I was trying to figure out, did I want to go over all the options just so everyone knows what they were, and then be like, here are the winners? Or I could be like, in 6th place, like,
Oh, yeah.
Should we try that, or what
do
you think?
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. Do you want to do the, in 6th place thing, or you want me to just do everything?
Sure. No, I can do it.
Okay. I mean, I don't mind doing everything. I just wasn't sure what you had in mind when you were, hearing it in your head.
No, I didn't have anything in particular in mind. I just didn't know how much anticipation you wanted to build.
Okay, cool. Well, let's just go ahead and keep talking about this the rest of the episode.
Okay, cool. Shell. Sounds like a play.
Okay, no, here, hit us.
Okay. And coming in at number 6 is...
AJ doesn't listen. That's the one I said. I learned/grew quite a bit because of this guy, and it includes the first and only date story, 2 hookups, 1 wasted man, and 1 wasted afternoon on the river. Only 1 person voted for that one, and it made me a little sad. But that's okay, because I asked what you wanted, and you told me, and that makes me happy. So... And Timothy's ready to make all of you happy tonight.
Oh, no. I regret everything. And winner number 5, I really should not have been trusted to do this.
The second story you won't be hearing tonight, it is, I guess, they're tied. So I'm like, oh wait, which one is which?
Oh, tied for 4th and 5th.
There we go. You're nailing this, Timothy.
Oh, shucks.
Tied for 4th and 5th. I realized I might be capable of falling in love. I may still be messed up now, but I was much worse before I met this guy. It includes an awkward first kiss, multiple text message breakups, and the most adorable/gag-inducing inside joke you've ever heard. You won't be hearing that one. And then the other one that is tied with it, Teach Me, Professor, includes an on-campus hookup, UT Austin. I didn't write it in the survey, but now you guys know a little something about it. Accidental moaning, an awkward moment with a custodian, and a rock-hard lesson. And now it's the
Sorry.
winner.
And coming in third place,
Little Emo, High School Ages, Unrequited Love Story. You will be hearing this one tonight. The summary that I gave was that it spanned 3.5 years and includes, fooling around in a packed theater. When I was outlining it earlier, I was like, what happened? I remember more of this little summary that I wrote in my outline. Fooling around in a packed theater, a McDonald's-induced epiphany, a run-in with the cops, and it ends with me seeing him and involuntarily running away. And then, tied for first and second.
Oh, I didn't know they were tied. Tied for first and second.
Hooking up with a guy while on the clock includes fellatio, flashing. Oh, it's more impressive if you switch them. Flashing, fellatio, and my favorite verbal interaction I've ever had with a man. Seriously, it's a solid back and forth, some of my best work. That was the description. And then the other one, AJ's first threesome. This includes a park hookup, a parking lot hookup, unexpected roommates, and jealousy. And that one was in the lead for a while. So, I know what y'all like. It really was in the lead for the longest time. I thought it was going to be number one, and then in the last moments, the other one caught up to it. And just some other quick little thoughts that I had while going through all the numbers. There was one person who only voted for the threesome story and none of the other stories.
Whoa.
I just really wanted to hear that one. There was one person who only voted for the on the clock story, and I was like, interesting. Someone's got some work fantasies, huh? I'm here for y'all. The only other one that got one single vote was for the capable of falling in love. And I was like, oh, that's nice. You want to pretend that I have a heart and that I'm capable of falling in love. I didn't mean anything I said in any of that survey. It was just to get clicks.
Oh my God.
And also, there were 3 people who only voted for the hookup stories, none of the other stories. And I was just like, okay, y'all, go for it. Anyway, thank you all again very much. I really appreciate it. It was very helpful, and I'm glad that y'all cared enough to actually do it. So, thank you. Oh, Timothy, do you want me to start, or do you want to go in?
Please, why don't you kick us off, AJ?
All right, cool. Well, in that case, I'm going to go ahead and tell one of the ones that was tied. I'm going to tell hooking up with a guy while on the clock. See, what happened was, let's call him Remy. So I was working at Sonic, and I realized I had to check my Facebook earlier when I was outlining to see, because I knew I quoted the conversation. November of 2012 is around the time this all took place. And I'm working at Sonic, and one Sunday morning, this man shows up, and I don't remember what he ordered or anything, but I'm the only car hop, so I take out his food to him. Oh, Sonic is a drive-in restaurant, so you pull into a stall and you order from there, and I was a car hop, so like a waiter. And so I go out to him. He was wearing sunglasses, so I couldn't even see his eyes. But, his face, I was just like, he wants me real bad. He has really good taste. And anyway, I don't remember that first interaction much because I don't care about my customers. So, so the next Sunday, he showed up again, and this time he had his shorts strategically placed. Like his dick was hanging out of the leg of his shorts. And I was like, well, that's probably not an accident. And so I'm like, hello. And he's like, hi. And I'm like, here's your food, goodbye. No, I think we had some sort of a little conversation, but I also am pretty sure that I was busy. And so I'm like, okay, bye. And then the third time he comes by, he's like hanging out even more. It's the following Sunday now, so now it's the third Sunday in a row. He was only coming on Sundays. Oh, that's the conversation we had on that second Sunday. He asked me if I worked every Sunday. And I was like, yes, even though I was kind of hesitant to tell someone when I'm going to be there, but I'm also like, I'm going to be here. He's going to show up and find me anyway. So yeah, I work every Sunday morning. And so then he came back the following Sunday. Our third Sunday together, I don't remember how we started talking, but I mean, he was getting real flirty. It's only the third time he's seen me, but he's super comfortable now. Dick hanging out, he's right at home. So he asks me, how old are you? And this is back when I was actually 22, y'all. The first time I was 22. So he asked, how old are you? And I said, 22. How old are you? And he said, 26. And I'm looking at him and I don't know. I'm very intuitive. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm going to sound as full of myself as possible and just tell you that I'm very intuitive and I read people really well. And also, Mercury was in retrograde and my cat told me. So...
Wouldn't Mercury being in retrograde make your intuition less strong?
He had no problem with me saying my cat told me, but he asked me about Mercury in retrograde.
I don't actually know that much about astrology, so maybe I'm wrong, but I think it makes everything worse.
I don't say anything that I mean, Timothy, so it doesn't really matter to me. Anyway, so, how old are you? 22. How old are you? 26. And I go, uh-huh. And how old are you when you're not lying? And he freezes, like, legit, he stops moving. Not that he was moving a lot anyway, he's sitting in his car. But, like, he freezes, and then he smiles, and he's like, 28. Anyway, I probably hyped that out too much. But it's my favorite interaction ever.
It made me laugh really hard the first time you told it. I wasn't confident in my ability to laugh on air convincingly.
Every now and then I think about it, and it kills me a little. It was just such a good back and forth.
It's very witty, yeah. It's some good banter.
Also, I think probably the real reason he froze, it's not because I caught him in a lie, it's because I, like, called him on a lie, you know?
Uh-huh.
I doubt that anyone really is used to people just being like, so, you're lying, tell me the truth. Like, you know?
Right.
And so I laughed, and I was like, really? And he was like, no, yeah, really, I'm 28. And, I don't know, more polite chit-chat probably. More of his dick. It was perfectly fine. He wasn't even hard. So I'm like, whatever. Thanks for sharing, I guess. And he tipped me well. I don't remember how much he tipped me. I just remember being like, okay, money, into it. And he came back the next Sunday. And so now at this point, we're super comfortable with each other. I called him a liar. He's showing me his cock. We go way back. So now on our 4th Sunday together, he orders his food and I take it out to him, all per usual, but this morning is much slower. He always came by around like 8 o'clock in the morning, and so it typically was slow. It was just rare occasions when there were a lot of people there. So this was a typical slow Sunday morning. It was just me and him in the parking lot. In the store, I know a manager was there for sure. I can't remember if there was a cook, but I'm pretty sure there was. The cook and the manager are still inside, and I'm out there talking to him. And at this point, he's basically not even wearing shorts anymore. Like, the pair that he was wearing were, like, very tattered and in such a way that he was basically just out no matter how he sat, really. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm done playing this game. So I was like, hey, can you hang out a minute? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, just wait here. I'll be back. And so I go inside and I put my tray down and I tell the manager I'm going to use the restroom. And then I go back out to him. Oh, yeah, he's parked in the back of the store, actually in front of the restrooms. Basically the last stall in the parking lot. So way around the corner of the store. No one can see us. There are no cameras like pointed directly at it. So I go back out there and I stand at his window and he's like, hi. And I was like, let me in. And he did that thing again where he like freezes. He like stopped moving and he was like, what? And I was like, let me in the car. And he again was just kind of like, really? And he seemed like a little scared. I feel like if we had been in a nightclub, he would have been like, hey, come back to my place. And I would have been like, okay. And he would have been like, wait, why? What do you mean? Okay, what do you mean okay? I don't know what that means. That's how it felt now. I'm like, you've been out here, literally, you've been out here for weeks, and now I'm like, let me in the car, and you're like, wait, what? Really? Oh, okay. And so he unlocks his car, and I go around the passenger side of his best friend's ride. That's not true. I assume it was his. Well, there's more to the story. We'll get there. So I get in the car, and, I mean, I just go down on him. I mean, there's no hesitation. We both know what's going on here now. So, like, I remember he tried to grope for me, but I was still wearing my apron. And, like, my apron had, like, condiments in it and everything. So it's like, you can't feel anything through that thing anyway. And I cannot remember, like, it definitely wasn't longer than 10 minutes. It might have not even really been longer than 5 minutes. But I'm out there enjoying myself. He seems to be enjoying himself too. And then I'm like, okay, I should probably get back to work. So we say goodbye. He thanks me for a lovely evening. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's like, it happened. I mean, clearly I was there for it and I was enjoying myself, but it's that kind of thing where I'm also like, I didn't go to work knowing that was going to happen today. Like, of everything that I was going to do at work, I never would have guessed that this was going to happen. Right. So it's like it happened so fast. Mm-hmm. But we hooked up that second time. I'm sure it was just as fine. Then the following Sunday, also every Sunday, every God's day. Oh my God. I did kind of wonder, because it was always Sunday mornings, I'm like, does he go to church after this? But,
well, something has risen.
Oh my. Timothy, that's really inappropriate.
Yeah, sorry.
So the Sunday after the second time, when he comes back, he's still ordering every time, by the way, because he's a gentleman. So I'm pretty sure he always only ordered a drink, but he always tipped me really well, which, at this point, I'm kind of like, now you're not tipping me enough. But, but this time is the last time I see him, and it's because we're there being all flirty. Also, I just want to point out, not that it, really matters, but at no point did I really think, could I date this guy? I really never had that thought. It really was just let's hook up again while I'm at work. There's nothing else happening here. You know what? If I was already getting paid, maybe he overpaid me. Maybe he overtipped. Anyway, so this last time, I give him his drink and I'm standing there talking to him, and I don't remember what he says. He's casually talking. He's just blah, 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 my wife, blah, 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 blah. And now I freeze. I'm I'm sorry, you're what? You're who now? What's that? He's I'm married. And he shakes his ring finger at me and he's got a ring on it. And I'm was he always wearing that? And so that is the moment that I was always look for a ring.
Mm-hmm.
I was only 22. I didn't need to look for rings before then. But now I'm I guess when I'm hooking up with men who lie about their age, they definitely have rings on probably. So I was okay. Were you married the whole time? What? I didn't even ask if she knew, if they were open or anything. I didn't ask. I was just you know what? I don't want to know. I was we're done. Because now this is the second time that I know of that he was lying to me, even if it was a lie by omission.
Mm-hmm.
I'm nah, you lied about your age. Now you've lied about your wife. I don't know what you got going on, but I'm done here. And so I don't remember what I told him. Considering I wasn't afraid to call him a liar, I'm pretty sure I wasn't afraid to tell him that I was done because I didn't do cheaters. Knowingly, anyway. And as far as I know, that is the only time I have done it. Oh no, I told y'all another story in another Can I Get You episode where I realized a man was cheating. He didn't have a ring though, that's not my fault.
No. Well, this one wasn't your fault either. I was gonna say, yeah,
it's not my fault this time either. I kind of don't think he was wearing a ring, but again, I wasn't looking for it.
Right.
Anyway, whatever. It was very exciting. I did have a very good time. Unless I'm lying again, I think it's the only time I've ever hooked up in person like that. Not prearranged or not because of it's following a date or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It was just very organic and unexpected. I don't think that's ever happened to me outside of that. And it was very fun. It makes for quite a daydream. So
it definitely sounds like something that would happen in a certain kind of film.
What kind of film?
I mean,
what do you mean?
A what? Like a pornographic film.
Timothy. Why, I never. My pearls and antlers.
That's a little inside joke we have. My pearls and antlers.
Oh wait, say pornography again.
Pornography.
How dare you, sir?
Oh, we have our fun.
Oh god. Anyway, but that's that story. It really is one of my favorites, so I'm glad y'all chose it. Timothy, what do you got for us? Follow that.
Remy still goes back to that Sonic every Sunday and places a single rose in the parking spot. Well, I don't know which parking spot. I don't know. I didn't really think that joke through. Anyway.
Oh, I will say at one point I was disappointed. That was the last time I saw him. He never came back again after that. And I'm I don't get to tease you or anything. It's not going to happen again. But I want to at least fuck with you.
But see, more proof that was the only reason he was going.
That's true. Can't blame him. I'm amazing. Anyway, you tell us something amazing. Is that too much of a setup? I'm sorry.
This isn't a super amazing story. I'm going to tell the story of my first kiss.
Aww.
I didn't plan it this way, but I think it's funny to juxtapose these two stories. I was in kindergarten. I've actually referenced this story in a previous episode, our first episode on queerness. A group of us children were under the playground at the Lutheran school where I attended preschool and kindergarten. And we were playing wedding. So, we were choosing different pairs of children to pretend to be couples getting married. And a kid would be the minister. And I have to think of ways to make this story longer and more interesting than it really is, because it's not that fun. Anyway, but so I got paired with this girl. I'm going to say her name was Christabel.
She sounds like a slut.
I'm the slut in this story.
So she was stealing your thunder. That's rude AF.
Oh. So we were playing wedding. You know, it was all going along. I think one kid was chosen to hum Here Comes the Bride. And so I don't think anybody gave me any music, but I was just standing there with the minister. I don't think I even got like an entrance. I think we were just standing.
This is rude as hell.
It was very rude. I don't remember who the minister was.
On your special day.
My special day.
Also, it's like, you said that like multiple pairs of you were like getting married, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't you hire a band?
We really should have. That was an oversight. Also, we all had the same music. It was all just Here Comes the Bride.
Basic bitches.
So basic. So she walks up, and the kid being the minister says, "Dearly beloved," they probably didn't say dearly beloved, but you know, "we're gathered here today to marry Timothy and Christabel. Does anybody have any objection to these two getting married?" And God, what's his name? Oh, wait, I don't give real names on this half the time anyway. 3/4 of the time.
I thought that, yeah, you were suggesting that as his name. 3/4 of the time. And I was like, what?
So 3/4 of the time chimes in and he's like, "I object." And everybody just kind of looks at him and then he sits down. Because they're just like, "You're not supposed to say anything."
And that was it. He didn't like explain why he was
No, he didn't give an answer because he was too humiliated. And then so the kid playing the minister says, "All right, well, since nobody has any real objections, do you, Timothy, take Christabel to be your lawfully wedded wife?" And I said, "I do." And he said, "Do you take Timothy to be your lawfully wedded husband?" And she said, "I do." And then he said, "You may now kiss the bride." And I kissed her, like just a peck on the lips. And everybody was so scandalized. They were shocked, like mouths open. And I just kind of looked around and I was like, what? And I can't remember who broke the silence, but somebody said, "Timothy, you're not supposed to kiss for real. This is a game." And I was like, I just did what he said. Like, God.
Timothy, isn't this just a game to you?
You know what? I don't think we even used our real names in the game. I think we gave each other fake names, like, you know, John and Mary or like whatever.
Good.
So it's not legally binding.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you're not really married. That's perfect. That's great.
I also don't think this 5 or 6 year old was legally ordained either. And we never signed a marriage license or anything.
Y'all did this all wrong.
I know.
No band, no marriage license.
It's worse than Vegas.
No wonder you remember it so well.
But anyway. And then I never saw her again. No, I'm kidding. We stayed friends. But it was a little awkward for a day or two. I told her I was sorry, and she was like, it's okay. But I didn't know better.
Kids. You were way too young to be getting married.
I mean, babies. Really.
Babies having babies.
We did not have a baby. I need to make that very clear. We didn't even pretend to have a baby. We never even like later went and played house where we were married or anything like that. Nothing of the kind. We got an immediate annulment.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Mine, while much older, also takes me back to school. The third highest voted one was Little Emo / High School AJ's Unrequited Love Story. Okay, y'all. So, High School AJ was very emo. And that's how the story goes. So, Timothy, what's your next one?
AJ fell in love with emo.
God. I would have been emo anyway. You don't choose emo chooses you. So I would have been emo no matter what, but this heavily contributed to it. In past episodes, I think the writing episode, I mentioned that I wrote a lot of bad poetry in high school. This was the primary source of it. This young man was the primary source of it. I was also a young man, it's chill. So freshman year, like the first semester of freshman year, there's a young man, definitely almost said his real name. Let's call him Adam. I heard that he had a crush on me. He was in band, and I was in theater, and they both take place in the Fine Arts Building. So I'd like seen him in the hallway, but I didn't know him all that well. But I'd heard he had a crush on me, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, that's nice. And I thought he was cute, but I didn't really know him, and we didn't have any classes together or anything. It's still early on, freshman year, still learning who people are and what I am. And I wouldn't say who I am, but then I fucked it up. Anyway, just go with it. Who people are, what I am, and just getting to meet people and stuff. So I don't really know him at the beginning, but I hear he has a crush on me, and I'm like, okay, well, that's all good and fine. Wonderful, let's carry on with our lives. And then I think it's by the end of the first semester that I have gotten to know him, both naturally, because we're both in that building all the time, and, like, stuff. And also, I think probably because since he did have a crush on me, he probably did try to talk to me a little. But anyway, so I've gotten to know him, and I'm like, okay, yeah. And he's funny, and he's real cute. And so I think by the end of first semester, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling it. The semester ends, second semester starts up, almost immediately he's dating someone. And I'm like, okay, well, that's that, I guess. So the bad poetry begins, because now we really are starting to spend more time together. And so I'm just getting to know him better, and I'm just starting to like him more. And it's somewhere in that second semester, I think, that I'm like, I really like him. Like, I'm very much into him. And at this point, I think little AJ still doesn't really believe in love anyway, so I don't think I would have, like, actually thought that I was, like, in love with him. That was never a thing that crossed my mind. But I was very infatuated with him. And he was dating someone else, so it just was not an option. And as an emo, not to be confused with emu, which has happened plenty of times, as an emo, it's in my nature to just let the darkness consume me. Also, I've never been afraid of being the martyr, so I'm just like, oh, are you having a problem with your boyfriend? I'll listen to you. Yes, it hurts me because we're not together. It should be me, not him. But I will be here for you because all I want is for you to be happy. So anyway, that basically sets up the premise of what happens. So over the course of the next couple years, we become friends. He eventually breaks up with that boyfriend. He eventually starts dating another guy who was one of my close friends, and that did not feel particularly good. But I love to feel bad, so I leaned into it, y'all. Legit. This is like my personality at this point in my life. Sophomore year AJ is now like, let the darkness eat me from inside. And it's more fuel for my art and my terrible poetry. I wish I still had any of it. That's not true at all. I don't wish that.
I was going to say, I wish we could hear one right now. I was going to say,
I do wish I could remember any of it. I definitely am glad I don't have any of that paperwork, though. No one needs to see that. Anyway, I've already forgotten if I prefaced this whole story with this or not, but I know I started to at least. I'm going to tell a bunch of these things out of order because I cannot remember the order. Because like I said, they happened over a few years. I don't remember. I do know for sure this particular story that I'll go ahead and tell happened, if not the summer between my sophomore and junior years, it happened at the beginning of junior year. And I know this because I have a tent in my trunk and I have a prop gun in my trunk, and both of those are because of awry, which Timothy and I have talked about on the show before. The summer after my sophomore year, we did a show called, what is it? The Irresistible Rise?
The Resistible Rise of Arturo Awry.
Resistible or irresistible?
Resistible.
Oh, intrigue. Okay, anyway. I think I always...
Like the whole point of the play is that all of this was preventable.
Right.
But like nobody did anything.
Right. I just say my lines. I don't follow plot. So anyway, we had gone on a camping trip as a cast, and so that's why the tent was in my trunk. And then
Also, can I just say that I had a tent in my trunk sounds like a euphemism?
You can and you did. So,
sorry.
Also, the prop gun in my trunk was very realistic looking. It was like metal and black, and just it looked like a real gun, but I think it was only made for blanks. And anyway, it was also part of that show. So that's the only reason I remember kind of when this took place. So Adam and I, at this point, were hanging out quite a bit. Constantly out late, getting into trouble. Oh, it's only funny if I weren't about to tell you about the cops. Okay, hold on. So, because I'm a martyr, I'm going to keep saying it over and over again until people make merch with it. My face on the word martyr.
I was just picturing like saint candles.
Oh, I'm into that too.
Saint AJ the Martyr.
I can get down on that, yeah, okay. Get down for that. Get down on that. Sounds much worse. Okay, anyway. Okay, remember, this is so long ago that smartphones are not in everybody's hand. Lots of people still don't even have cell phones yet. Lots of kids anyway. Lots of people my age, 14, 15, didn't have cell phones yet. So there's no smartphones with us or anything. But he wants to go visit some guy that he met online. Some kid who's also our age. And this guy lives out in Del Valley, and Adam doesn't have a car, but because I'm pathetic, I'm like, I'll take you. I just want to be with him. So I'm like, yeah, let's go. And I just want him to be happy. I doubt I ever cared about his happiness. I mean, I don't care about anyone else's. I doubt it would have happened then. Anyway, all I cared about was his happiness. So, I don't know if he just got directions from the guy, or if he, like, printed from MapQuest or what, I don't know. But we drive out to some little neighborhood in Del Valle. There's no sidewalks, there's no curves, there's no street lights or anything. So we're just driving around in the dark, hoping we're not driving onto people's lawns. That's an exaggeration, I could see the lawns. I have headlights. Headlights.
Oh, weird confession on the air, but all right.
Not headlights, headlights. The plural of headlight. A light like what you see.
Also, while we're paused, Del Valle is a small rural town outside of Austin.
Thank you. I even wrote in my notes to specify that and I forgot. It's because I'm not looking at my notes. I'm speaking from the heart. So we're driving around squinting at all the houses we're passing by. I guess we were probably looking for the house number. I just remember we were driving real slow because we're trying to figure it out. We're circling the block because he's like, it's this street. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe you should have planned better. And it's somewhere between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. Not early, but not hella late. So because there's this old ass car, because I'm in my first car, it's a 1990 Oldsmobile and it's been loved. So it's a little clunky. So because this beat up old car is driving slowly down these dark streets, someone calls the cops on us for some reason. And I'm like, that's rude as hell. But anyway, the cops show up and I'm like, hey, what? What's happening? And so I pull over, of course, and they're like, what are you doing here? So I'm like, well, we're trying to find his friend's house. And the cop asked me to get out of the car, like both of us. So now we're both standing on the street. And there were two of them. One of them stayed standing with us while the other one, I guess, probably went to go like run my license or something. So the cop that's standing with us is casually glancing in my car because that's what they do. He points his flashlight inside and he asks, is that a gun? And I'm like, where? And because my car, like I said, is well loved and a little old, the window crank, because it doesn't have a button to roll down the window, it's got a window crank. The black window crank part in the car that you actually turn falls off and doesn't stay on it.
Oh.
And so on the driver's side, it had fallen off and it was on the floor. So we just saw something black on the floor. And I'm like, what? Where? I look in and I'm like, oh no, it's the window crank. And he's like, oh, okay. So we're just sitting there in awkward silence. And I remember that I do have a gun in my trunk. And so I'm like, well, don't say that. Eventually they left us alone. We didn't get like tickets or citations or anything. I guess they were just like, be more careful. And I'm like, mind your own business. I was not happy about it. I'm like, bro, why didn't you plan better? Anyway, that's one of the many memories that I have with Adam. We hooked up once. And then we messed around once. I don't know. Let's just cut to the packed theater. So see, what happened was, I don't remember when this happened.
So you see, what happened was, I have no idea.
You fill in the blank. It's a choose your own adventure.
But you have to choose the whole thing. It's all in your head.
Oh, I guess I kind of did make this a choose your own adventure, though.
You really did,
By
yeah.
letting people pick. Oh. Anyway, the dance team was having an event, a dance show, and the theater is packed because the dance team actually brought in an audience. They won competitions and stuff, them and the band. Anyway, the theater really is packed. I'm not exaggerating, and it's not a small house. There's plenty of seating in this theater. There are empty seats. I'm sitting closest to the aisle, and there's one empty seat next to me, and then it's the aisle. Mm-hmm. And then Adam is on my left, and there's two, maybe three empty seats next to him, and then the rest of the row is full past him. Mm-hmm. And so we're basically a little island, kind of. Anyway, so of course it's dark in the theater, and all the lights are up on stage, and the dancers are dancing, and the music is blaring. And I don't remember how I got here, but my hand ended up in his pants. Mm-hmm. I was ready to go to the bathroom and finish the damn thing, but we didn't do that. But I don't think it didn't start in his pants. I think I started on his leg. He might have even put it there, honestly. And I work my way up, and I slide my hand down until he gets hard, and then I slide my hand under his underwear. And so then it's just a handy for a minute, and it's packed theater. No one seems to notice, which isn't unsurprising exactly, right. They're all focused on what they should be focused on. He starts to get a little too comfortable. His head's leaning back. And
God.
I'm like, that's not going to bring attention to us. But we were like that for a minute, at least a couple dance numbers. That sounds like a euphemism within this context. Anyway, so the time that we did actually hook up, he slept over in my place. That's another reason to never come out to your parents. You can.
Oh,
I was allowed to have boys in my room.
yeah.
So he slept over. He wasn't the only boy that slept over either, but he was the only one that slept over that I hooked up with, because he was the only one that slept over that I wanted to hook up with. I guess I haven't touched on that at all. Even though he's been in and out of boyfriends since freshman year when I was heartbroken, he's been through a few boyfriends by this point. But every time he's ever been single, we've still never talked about if there could be an us. I never asked him because I'm like, I'm not at all subtle. He knows how I feel. If he wanted that, he would ask me for it, and I don't want to risk the friendship. I just want him to be happy. But yeah, we hooked up in my bedroom. Oh my god, I forgot about this until just now. The next day at school, I guess. So I'm in Algebra 2 with one of my best friends, if I used that phrase back then. And I tell her what happened, and she's like, how big was it? And I looked at my hand, because I didn't have a tape measure the night of, So
Right.
I look at my hand, and because we're in algebra, we have those grid sheets. Every square is like an inch. So I just lay my hand on it. And I was like 6 inches. And so from then on, every now and then, we would just say 6 inches to the other one.
That's
and just
funny.
die laughing because we're children.
You technically were.
We were, I guess. It was a nice little inside joke. I forgot all about that until this very moment. Oh, that's nice. Anyway, lots of other things happened over the course of this, whatever it was. I was going to call it a mistake, but it wasn't a mistake. It was a huge part of my identity for a while. So without it, I guess I'd be nothing. But I'm going to start getting close to the end now. We're going to start wrapping this bitch up. So we slowly approached the falling out. And it happened because one night I was hanging out with him, Adam, and another guy who was also quite cute. I am going to fake name him Johnny. Jonny. Just because it's stylized. So me, Adam, and Johnny are hanging out as we had been doing in the recent past of this event. Johnny was kind of weird, but that was also just kind of the crowd I ran with. Weird. He was so random. We were all so random back then. Anyway, I thought he was really cute, but since Adam was around, that's where my focus lies. So the three of us are hanging out, and we end up going to a park, and it's nighttime. This happened a lot. Oh my god. This happens so much. My high school hangouts after sophomore year, when I was hanging out with theater people all the time, junior year, my high school hangouts were always parks or Walmart, and it was always very late at night because even during the school week, we were just always out super late, 1 in the morning, if not later. This particular night, we're at a park, laying on the ground in the middle of this wooded area. There's a small section of trees, and then within that small section of trees, there's a small clearing. So that's where we are, in this tiny clearing. It's not too far from the parking lot, but it is late at night on a weeknight, and so it's just the three of us. I don't remember how it happened, but they started messing around, kind of, over the clothes stuff, just rubbing hands and stuff. I don't remember. It was probably Adam, but one of them started touching me, and I was like, do I want to do this? It's not that I wouldn't have messed around with Johnny. Oh, it just came back to me. Johnny and I did mess around before this at some point. At this very park. Oh my god, y'all, I'm a slut. Oh, I forgot all about this. So yeah, I had messed around with both of them at this point now. And while I enjoyed messing around with Johnny, I'm a hormonal teenager. It wasn't because I liked him exactly. It's because I liked how he looked.
Yeah, I get that.
That was just sex. When I messed around with Adam, that was something very different.
Right.
Because at this point, I did kind of start to wonder, am I in love with him? Years later, I was talking to someone about this, and he was like, you weren't in love with him. And I was like, excuse me, you weren't there. And he's like, well, if it's one-sided, you can't be in love with someone. And I'm like, I don't think I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that he was like, it's just infatuation if it's only one-sided. I'm like, well, then what the hell is unrequited love?
Yeah.
You're an idiot. That guy's a good friend of mine. Anyway, back to the story at hand. So yes, at this point, I've messed around with both of them. Just physical with Johnny, a little more with Adam, and now I'm here with both of them, and they're both groping each other, and now they're groping me. And I'm torn. I'm not moving at all. I'm not pushing them away, and I'm not joining in because I can't decide what I want to do. Because I'm like, if I get Adam, it's just Adam. I don't want anyone else. I don't want anything else. I just want Adam, and I don't care for anyone else to be there. So, but he is here, and he doesn't want it. But then I'm like, I don't really want to watch him and Johnny either. I mean, I'm martyred enough. Thank you very much. I almost got arrested for him. It didn't get that serious. But, like, for dramatic effect, I almost got arrested for him. And, like, I mean, I've watched him date other guys. I've listened to his problems. That's all one thing. And that was all hard enough. But now to see him physically with someone else, it's very different. And it's not something that I think I want.
Yeah.
So now they're starting to get a little more aggressive. And they're getting a little more insistent. So Johnny is essentially like at my top half. He is up here where my head and my torso are. And Adam is now going to my pants and he's starting to like undo my belt. And I'm still not moving. I'm still not participating. I'm still not telling them to stop because I still don't know what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he stops because I'm not moving. I'm not like helping him take my pants off. Adam stops and starts to take his own pants off. So he's pulled his pants down now and he's laying on top of me. And I start to push him off, not super forcefully, but I like start to like push him away, and I think I started to say no. Johnny is still like rubbing up on me over here. I'm gesturing to my left side. You can't see it. And Adam is still trying to put himself on top of me. I've definitely said no by this point. And I start to push him harder, and he starts to push back harder. It gets a little more intense, and eventually I kick him in the chest. He falls backward, and so Johnny sits up pretty quick too. And we're all silent for a second. And I think I probably spoke next. I think I just said, we're leaving now. And so Adam pulled his pants back up and we got in my car because I drive everywhere. And I took them both home. And then I think that maybe Johnny approached me at school the next day and I kind of blew him off. And I don't think I spoke to him again. And I didn't talk to Adam for about a week. Neither of us tried to talk to the other one. About a week later, it's a Saturday. I had rehearsal for whatever show we were working on at the time. I think I was supposed to be there 12 to 5, maybe 11 to 5, and he was there for band. So we're both there on this Saturday afternoon, and I run into him in the hallway. They had all been in the band hall, and he's outside of the band hall because his mom brought him McDonald's. And I run into him, and this is the first time we've spoken since it happened. I try to act like we've been fine this whole time, like we've been talking this whole time. And I ask him for a French fry, I think. And he says no, and he pulls the food away from me real fast, even though I wasn't even like reaching for it or anything. But he's like, no. It was so like final.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, so you do know what that word means. Okay. And I walked away. And that was the last time I spoke to him for almost a year, I think. We ran into each other in the courtyard at one point about a year later. We almost literally ran into each other. And so now we're face to face for the first time in forever. It's awkward as hell. Mm-hmm. And we do talk, though, as if everything is fine. But it's also clear that we are not in each other's lives anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, hi, how are you? How's senior year going? It felt like a movie. I remember that much. I remember it felt like a movie. To be fair, though, Emo AJ tried to make his whole life a movie. So I think that was the last time I spoke to him, maybe. So if McDonald's wants to sponsor us, because they really helped me out, and I'd be willing. But that's the last time I spoke to him. The last time I saw him in person was, I think, either the year after high school or 2 years after high school. I'm hanging out with my friend Katie. Hey, Katie, who's not listening. And she and I, at the time, we were working on a YouTube show, so we were probably like hanging out and writing, or like going to the mall, or just singing Kesha in my car or something. Honestly, that's probably what it was. So I had to pee. And then that's not surprising, because I pee all the time, y'all. You don't even know. You can tell what time it is based on when I'm peeing, because I pee like every hour and a half. So you can keep track of it like clockwork. So I think we're driving around to Kesha, and I have to pee. Probably because we've been driving around forever and I'm drinking water. You know, to keep up with Kesha's vocal stamina.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, let's just stop by this Whataburger so I can go pee real quick. And so Katie stays in the car, and I'm like walking up to the door real fast, power walking, and I'm maybe 10-ish feet away from the door, and then I look through the window, and that first table right there by the door, I see Adam. He's sitting there with a group of people. I legit had no idea what was happening. I remember this moment I saw him, and I just turned, and I ran back to my car. And as I was getting in the car, Katie's like, what the hell? Because, you know, I like just walked away, and now I'm like running and jumping into my car. Mm-hmm. And that's the moment when I was like, what just happened? I don't know what happened. I blacked out, basically, except that I remember it. It's like I saw him, and instinct took over, and I just ran the other way. And I was like, well, that was weird, but let's just go ahead and go. And so I think we just went back to my place after that. But that's the last time I've ever seen him in person. It really was a huge part of my life and my personality for so long.
Your feelings about him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like being torn up over him. And I mean, honestly, I probably enjoyed it to an extent. I just lived in the darkness, y'all. I mean, it's that kind of thing. You and I have talked about this before on the podcast, Timothy, where I'm like, I don't know the moment when that stopped. I don't know when I got over it.
Mm-hmm.
And because even now, talking about it, I can still feel it, but I'm also like, as soon as we stop recording this, I'm not going to think about it, you know? I'm not going to, like, be hung up on it. It's not going to torture me tonight when I try to go to sleep. But I can remember the feeling so vividly right now, and I don't remember when it stopped being a present feeling and when it became part of my past, you know? Wait. There's more. I mean, there's a lot more. But just one quick thing about him also. I think it was freshman year, I was in the talent show, and another one of my really close friends, who was also friends with Adam, was in the talent show, and she sang, and I sang, different songs, not together. And after the talent show, she and I are standing together, and he comes running up to us, and he tells her how great she is, and he says nothing to me.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I'm like, he was always a dick. He was always wrong from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I'm not in high school anymore. Although I did enjoy being the queen bee.
You're still the queen bee.
I know, I just wanted you to say it. It wouldn't hurt you to say it every now and then.
I'll try to more often.
God knows Timothy doesn't say nice enough things to me. Enough nice things to me.
I probably don't.
Shut up.
In keeping with my childhood theme, I'm going to tell the story of my first date. I think at this point I was in second grade. So I was going to public school, but I was still going to daycare after school at the Lutheran school where I had gone to pre-K and kindergarten. Again, I'm not a Lutheran. I don't know exactly why my mother sent me there. But anyway, I was friends with this girl named Tabitha. Oh, I should preface this with, when I was a child, okay, my whole life I've been obsessed with love. If you've read my thesis, currently available in the Alkek Library at Texas State University, do not go check it out. It's horrible. Anyway, I have always been obsessed with love. I think that love is fascinating in all its facets, all types of love, familial love, friendship love, romantic love. It's all interesting to me. Anyway, when I was a child, that mostly manifested in thinking I have to be in a relationship, even though I am -2. I need to fall in love and get married and be happy forever and ever. That's just how it works. And so in second grade, that manifested into me. I need to quit saying manifested, but that became me telling this girl who I was spending a lot of time with and playing with a lot that we should be boyfriend and girlfriend. I thought that was so important. Like you know, and she was like, okay. And so we were boyfriend and girlfriend all of a sudden. All that really meant was we would hold hands on the playground. Occasionally we would sneak behind a bush and like give each other a peck. And
you're a slut. Behind a bush? Behind a dumpster maybe, but a bush.
So, and we also went to school together, but I had met her at daycare. Anyway, I can't remember how it got to this point, but eventually we decided that we wanted to go on a date. So we set it up with our parents. We worked it all out. We actually went to a fast food restaurant that's still there. I don't want to name it because it's not like a chain with a bunch of locations. It's actually very close to where we live now.
Oh, okay. I remember the story now.
Okay. Did I tell it on the phone?
I'm almost positive you have not.
I really hope I didn't. Listeners, if I did, sorry.
But enjoy again.
Yes, right.
It's a reprise.
So we arranged it with our parents. They were going to take us and we were going to meet there. They were going to sit in separate booths and let the two of us have our own little table in a booth. So my parents sat, I don't know if it was the booth right behind me, a couple booths away or something, but they could see me, of course. So I was just sitting there waiting for her, waiting forever. I don't even, as a child, even now I have pretty little concept of time, but as a child, I never knew what time it was. Somebody always had to tell me the time. Like, Timothy, it's time for this. And I'd be like, oh, really? The bell would ring and I'd be like, oh my God. I thought it was like 1 in the afternoon, like the end of the school day. Anyway, eventually my parents tell me, Timothy, sweetie, I don't think she's going to come. And I said, oh, okay. I don't remember if I cried, but I very well could have. So the next day I found her and I was like, what, why, where were you? And she said, I'm mad at you. And I said, why? And she said, you called my mom ugly. And I said, no, I didn't. And so apparently what had happened, how she had constructed this story in her brain was that her mother had come to pick her up at daycare. And like we were hanging out, you know, just chilling, whatever. And she said, oh, that's my mom. And I looked at the person walking towards us, or not really even towards us, but like toward the, you know, where they pick up the kids. And I said, oh, that's your mom? And she took that to mean, oh, that ugly monster is your mother? That's how she read that somehow. So it was done. We were done. It was all broken off. The wedding was canceled. we weren't engaged.
Well, certainly not after that.
So that was that. So she, quote unquote, broke up with me. And then I remember it felt like months later. It was probably like 2 weeks later. But I ran into her on the playground. And we basically had like the children's version of the, oh, hello, you're looking well conversation. Like, how are you? I'm sure I talked to her at some point after that, but that's the last time I remember talking to her. And yeah, I think that subconsciously that moment has scarred me. I think that's part of my attachment need for validation complex that I have. It's not a big part, but I think it's a small part. Anyway, that's the story of my first non-date.
She sounds toxic. So it's for the best, really. I really don't think you've told it before on the podcast. So
I really hope not.
It's an exclusive. Your stories are so wildly different from mine. Okay, well, I guess let's just get to the reason why people came. Seriously, the threesome story was in the lead for so long. And I was like, wow. And y'all, when I wrote the description for it, I was kind of like, this is boring. No one's going to want to hear the story. And I guess I'm an idiot because I probably could have just written the word threesome and you guys would have been all over it. So, fine, you horny bitches. Fine. AJ's first threesome, which, behind the scenes fun fact, when I was writing the survey and I was trying to give them all, like, quick little concise names, I wanted to call it Baby's First Threesome. Because I make that joke a lot. Not that joke, but, like, Baby's First, whatever, a lot. Because I think it's funny. And so I wrote it, and then I wrote the description, and then I was like, is it weird? And so I sent it to Timothy, and he was like, I don't know about that. And I was like, yeah, fine.
Sorry.
Yeah, whatever. Killjoy. Anyway, so AJ's first threesome. So, through Craigslist, I met a man named, let's call him Michael. The first time we hooked up at a park. Coincidentally, it was the same park from the last story, but this one was much more fun for me. I've hooked up at that park a lot, y'all. There's so many stories that I haven't told y'all, and now you'll never hear them. Guess you're missing out. But anyway, so we hook up at that park, and it's fine. He's very polite.
Oh, it'll never work.
I mean, it didn't. So, right. But I just wasn't really feeling it, you know? But I was like, well, it's someone to mess around with, whatever. And then I think the next day, because they can never get enough, he wanted to hook up again. And so we were in the back of his car. Also, I'm not going to specify which one, but it was a parking lot of a shopping center that we have mentioned on the podcast before, too. Anyway, it's a little shopping center, and we're parked in the back. And I think a couple of times people drove by, but no one, like, you know, stopped to look in the car or anything. So it was all hands and mouths.
You love to say that.
I do. Oh, I used it prematurely, though. Hold on, we'll get there. Because it's a threesome. So there's going to be... And we'll get there. You'll see. You haven't figured it out yet. So anyway, after the second hookup, I think we just laid in his car for a while and, like, chatted. And I was like, okay, yeah, he's a perfectly nice man. They're all older. I was going to say he was older than me, but they're all older than me. I think he was in his 40s, maybe. I think I was, like, 25. Anyway, we're having a polite conversation, and I'm like, oh, he's a nice enough guy, but like, I honestly wasn't super attracted to him. I just wasn't. But so we say goodnight, and then we're texting a bit, and he wants to hook up again, and I'm not totally opposed to it, but I'm also not particularly free. I don't really have a whole lot of free time.
Yeah.
And then I think like a week later, we text every now and then throughout the week, both to like say hello and also because he wants to hook up again. And I think about a week after that second one, he's like, would you be interested in a threesome? I don't even remember how I reacted when he asked me. I said yes, obviously. But at that point, I don't think that I had ever wanted that because the last time I'd come close to having a threesome, it wasn't that.
Yeah.
So it had never really been anything I'd thought about or fantasized or anything. But I was like, well, I mean, so far I've felt really comfortable with him. And like I said, he seems like a perfectly decent man. He always was very respectful and very kind. So that's the reason I said yes. And so his friend, who I will call Rick. So Michael and Rick invite me for menage a trois at Rick's place. I RSVP'd yes. So I drive over there. I can't remember how much info I have going into this. I don't know if they told me beforehand. I think they did, that Rick had a couple roommates. I'm pretty sure I knew going into it. So anyway, I head over there. They take me straight back to Rick's room. I felt like they had, I don't know, important people there or something, and they didn't want the important people to see the help. So they like took me back to Rick's room, took me straight back. Or if I'm the VIP, I guess, they took me straight back. Yeah. Anyway, so, and then we had a threesome and I went home. I felt like I was dragging it out with a bunch of nothing, and then I was like, wouldn't it be funny if I just fixed it? Fixed. So I go to his room. Oh god, I wish I could remember what was on the TV because it was funny. I kind of feel like it was a rerun of Jerry Springer or something. Whatever it was a funny show to have on in the background of sex. So we have a little chit chat. Rick and I say hello. I immediately like him. Not because I'm physically attracted to him or anything. He wasn't bad looking, but like, I was just like, you have a really good energy. There's just something about him that I was like, oh, okay, I'm comfortable. Because, I mean, I'm going to some stranger's house to be in a room alone with two men I barely know. One I barely know, the other one I've never met before. Right. So it's like, this is all pretty dangerous. You probably shouldn't be doing it. I wouldn't suggest anyone does it. I wouldn't tell you not to do it, but like, I wouldn't suggest that you do it either. But anyway, I don't remember how soon after I get there, we like get down to business, but it's not too long afterwards. I don't remember if their shirts came off, but their pants came off and they're both wearing underwear. I, at this point, am so experienced in hookups that I know you shouldn't bother with underwear because they just slow everyone down. You were here for one reason, let's just do it and then go. So I'm not wearing underwear because I came prepared. So now they're waiting for me to take my pants off, but I'm like, well, I'm at a disadvantage. It's like, you are now in your final layer. I'm already in my final layer. I was like, what's the etiquette here? I've never been in this situation. I was like, I'm not wearing underwear, so I don't know if I should. And they're like, oh, okay. And they just like pull their underwear down. Like, no problem. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you for your support. I don't know how many times they had done this before, but they both seem pretty comfortable. So I'm like, okay, I'm not your first. So it's all hands and mouths. You didn't see it coming, did you? The touching and the making out was just getting started when someone knocked at his door and calls Rick's name. I'm like, what kind of roommates are these? Are these the kind of roommates who just walk into rooms? Or like, do y'all barely know each other? Are they just gonna wait out there? And so he awkward pauses for a second, but then he replies, yeah, as if everything's chill. Like, nothing out of the ordinary here, which maybe there wasn't, I don't know. But the roommate, I think he just asked him if he would take out the trash tomorrow or something. And Rick was like, yeah, I got it, no problem. And the person walked away, and Rick turned to me and he was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, thank you for checking in on me. Thank you.
That's a good host.
Right? Y'all, I think it's really interesting. I've been very lucky in my experiences. I was going to save this for the end, but I'm already here, so I'll just talk about it. As I have made so clear, I've hooked up with a lot of men. I've had a lot of experiences, and disregarding my last story, the rest of them, there were actual hookups. While sometimes these men won't like reciprocate, or sometimes they say rude, passive-aggressive things, I've never felt unsafe, and no one has ever pressured me to do anything. Again, not counting the last story. And I'm very lucky, especially, again, because my number is so high. The more chances you give people to be awful to you, the more likely someone's going to be awful to you, you know? Yeah. And somehow, I don't know, I've just been very lucky. And I think it's important to know that because in all the stories I've told you, almost all the stories I've told you now, I've talked about how the men have been generally good to me, and I need you to know that is not the case for everyone, and it's not the case all the time, and there are bad people in the world. So, if you ever decide to get your slut life on, which I would never tell anyone not to do, because it is very fun when you do it correctly, just be really careful, and don't think that just because I've had a lot of really good experiences, that there are only good experiences to be had.
Right.
I don't want people to think that this is normal, especially in gay culture. Because in gay culture, there's definitely a lot of bad guys out there. So, just like with every other thing. Thing being like sexuality, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, after he checked in on me very politely. Oh, and don't worry, y'all. I left him a tip on his dresser. I did not do that on tour. But anyway, they were very good to me. I was nervous when I went, but again, it wasn't so much about the sex part. I'm sure it was a little about the sex part because I've never been with two people at once. So
Right.
I'm just like, are we going to make a game plan or are we just going to go for it? We just went for it, by the way, in case you were wondering. But anyway, most of the nervousness was because it was, two men I barely knew.
Right.
But then I felt at ease pretty quickly and I was able to just enjoy myself. And I'm kind of surprised that that's my only threesome story.
Oh.
I wrote AJ's first threesome because I'm sure another one will happen someday. But I'm hopeful. I pray every night that a man will take me away to another man. And after the threesome, either that night or the next day, Michael texted me and was like, hey, so Rick really liked you and he wanted to know if I would give him your number. And I was like, oh, he was a really nice guy. Yeah, for sure. And I don't remember what Michael said. But he said something, it was sort of passive-aggressive. Basically like, are you sure you want me to give him your number? Like, I don't want to give him your number. Are you sure you want that? Basically.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was like, yeah, please, give him my number. Because at that point, I decided I'm already more comfortable with Rick than I am with Michael. Again, Michael had been very good to me, but for some reason, Rick, just something about him, his energy immediately, and they checked on me in the middle of it. Anyway, I was like, yeah, no, please give him my number. Then Michael and I texted for another week or so, and in the end, I was like, you know what, no. He's a perfectly nice guy. He's done nothing wrong. But I'm just not into it, and I'm busy anyway. So I was like, I'm sorry, I don't really have time to do this anymore. And I never heard from Rick, so I assume Michael never gave him my number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, that's rude, but okay. But also, it's probably just as well, because I might have felt bad if I ended up hooking up with Rick more than Michael.
I get that.
Okay, even though this episode is hella long, and we need to start wrapping it up, I'm gonna go ahead and just give a really brief idea of what the Teach Me Professor story was, because it was getting a lot of votes for a minute, and if two of my stories tied for first place, it would be in third place. So, just real quick, just so you guys know what happened. So, it was a professor, maybe 5 years older than me. I think this was 2017, and he's like, I'm in my office, and I'm like, yes, So, he tells me where to park and which building it is. I get there, and at first, I'm standing outside, clearly waiting. Because, there's no one around me. I'm not holding anything. I'm just standing outside the door waiting. And some woman walks out, and she's like, can I help you? And I was like, oh, no, I'm just meeting a friend for dinner. And she's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, okay, bye. But I felt really weird, because I'm like, bitch, no, go away. I'm trying to get laid. And then he ends up coming out of the door of the building, a minute later. And so he takes me up to his office. And we're making polite chit-chat. I think he told me what he was teaching, and I don't remember. We go to his office, and we pass a janitor on our way there. So she's just down the hall from his office, not very far away at all, and she's, sweeping the hallway. So he and I go into his office, and he leaves the lights off. He's got windows. Both, he has that kind of thing where it's there's a window above the door,
A transom.
Is that what they're called? I've always liked them. I don't know. They look interesting.
I agree.
But so he had one, and it was, cracked open. And then on the wall facing outside, he had a couple of smaller windows. Oh, I was not going to tell the whole story, and here I am sitting here telling you the whole goddamn story. Anyway, so what happened is that we got to business, and I got a little moany, and then I realized that the window was open, and I was like, oh, I could hear her sweeping, And I was like, oh, and he was like, wait. And so now we're silent, and it seemed like the sweeping paused too, the sound of the sweeping. But I'm like, maybe she's doing a janitor thing. She's putting something away, or I don't know. Maybe she's just looking down the hallway, admiring her work. I don't know what she's doing. But, like, she's probably not trying to listen to us.
Oh my God.
Anyway, we keep going at it, and we finish. And it was all very nice. He was, like, really good looking. Like, when we were trying to decide if we wanted to meet up, we sent selfies. And he sent me one, and I was like, yes, please. Oh my God, right now. Anyway, we finish up, we get dressed, and he takes me to the restroom so we can, like, clean up some more. And she's still in the hallway, not directly in front of his door, but not very far away from it either. She clearly passed his door while we were in there.
Mm-hmm.
And she, like, stops and watches us walk out of the office, and then she, like, looks away and goes back to what she's doing. And I'm like, bitch, don't you judge me. You'd be in here too if you could. You've seen him. And so we go into the restroom. I pee, and he just goes in and washes his hands and leaves. Just as he's walking toward the door, I'm in a stall, and I can hear, like, the door is opening before he gets to it, and it's her, and she's like, I'm about to clean in here. And I'm like, is that her trying to, like, prevent something? Like, does she think we're about to go at it again in the bathroom? And he's like, oh yeah, we're coming right out. And so, like, he leaves, and I wash my hands and I leave. I feel like she probably wasn't too judgy, but she was also very much like, I know what you did in there, you know? But anyway, that's the only time I hooked up with him, which is too bad, because he was very good looking. The sex was fine, but he was very good looking. That's how you know he was good looking. The sex was only fine. If y'all want statistics, I will give them to you. Anyway, there are more details in that story, but I just wanted to tell y'all real quick, because so many people seem to want to hear it. Oh, God, I'm going to miss the Can I Date You series. Timothy, do you have any goodbye words for the series?
It's been fun. I don't feel like I have any really, wise things to say except be good to each other and be good to yourselves. You are valid. You are worthy. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of romance. You are worthy of sexual fulfillment. Any of these things that you want can be yours.
For the low price of $19.99. I basically said a lot of what was going to be in my closing statement earlier. But as long as everyone's consenting, there's nothing wrong with having sex.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very basic part of human nature, I believe. While not everyone is interested in having sex, people who are shouldn't feel ashamed or afraid of it. Mm-hmm. I think that it's important that we all talk open and honestly, and that is why I've been pretty open in these stories, in these past few episodes. There's not a whole lot that I don't tell y'all, honestly. I keep some things for myself, just because I feel like if I need to blackmail myself later, I need to have something over me, So I can't give away all my secrets, because then what would I use against me? Interestingly, that's also why I tell so many of my secrets, so that I can't black myself later. I know what I'm like. Anyway, so
that you can't black yourself later?
I said blackmail. I said so I can't blackmail myself later.
Okay.
Bitch, we'll play this tape back and
I
we'll
believe
hear.
you!
Anyway, you're having such a good evening. Anyway.
I heard so I can black myself later.
Man, I hope I said blackmail, because now I'm like, bitch, we'll play the tape. And, I'm all wrong. I'll be like, bitch. That was me talking to me. That was me calling me a bitch that time. Anyway, hold on. I'm trying to wrap up, Timothy. Anyway, yeah, the point is, I don't believe that everyone needs to go around telling everyone all their sexual business, but I just think that we don't need to be afraid of talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's my main thing about this. So, thank you so much for joining us these past 5 episodes, assuming you've listened to all 5. And if you haven't, that's okay too, I guess. Thank you for joining us for this one.
Thank you for joining us at all.
Yeah, every week. But we're ending an era with this one series, so maybe let's keep it on that, Timothy. Uh-huh.
I was just trying to be affirming and inclusive.
I hate that. Just a reminder, Timothy's leaving in 5 episodes? This is the 5th one. You got 4 episodes left. Wow.
AJ's gonna miss Can I Date You more than he's gonna miss me on the show.
I would never say that.
Out loud.
You're a good friend for doing it, though. Thank you for speaking my mind. And it's also coming up on your last chance to let Timothy know how you really feel about him. So let him know in a review what you'll miss, what you've hated all along, what you'll miss hating. Let him know in a review and give us 5 stars. The stars are for me, obviously. The hate is for him in the review. The stars are for me. And if you would like to subscribe or follow, depending on what your podcatcher of choice calls it, you can do that to hear Timothy's last episodes and hear my future episodes when the dead weight's gone.
And you can support us financially if that is something you are comfortable doing, something you'd like to do, at ko-fi.com/canibotheryou. You can donate money with which I will run away after all of this is done. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to embezzle all of the Can I Bother You money. I promise.
It's not like I couldn't track you down.
It's true. You know where I live. We're roommates. In case anybody forgot.
Yeah.
AJ knows where I live already. If you want to stalk me, you can find me on Facebook and Twitter at TCJDV and or on Instagram at Tomatio88. AJ, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at AJReyesF13. You can also find me on YouTube. I hate when I almost forget to mention it because that's like the one that I'm trying to promote and I keep forgetting it. But anyway, yeah. If you want to hang out with me, don't stalk me. I've had enough of that. But if you want to hang out with me, I'd love to hear you say hello. But not now, because now we're saying goodbye. Okay, bye.
Goodbye.